Before he became the demon stalking the Covenant in their nightmares, he was simply a tool to crush the human rebellion. However, upon first contact with the Covenant, all of humanity rallied together under a singular banner with a singular goal: survive. This is the story of John 117's transformation from an experimental super soldier into humanity's final hope. In the years between first contact with the Covenant in 2525 and the fateful discovery of Installation 04, Halo. Everything changed for humanity on February 3, 2525 on the human-controlled planet Harvest, a tranquil farming colony that was shattered as the Covenant warships emerged silently from slipspace. They loomed ominously over fields and settlements, as humanity's initial attempts at communication went unanswered. Finally, a message was received and translated by the human AI. The broadcast was simply on repeat. Your destruction is the will of the gods, and we are their instrument. Not leaving a ton of room for negotiation or rational discourse, then finally, plasma fire erupted from the skies, engulfing entire cities in searing heat. Civilians and military alike scrambled to defend themselves. However, a fringe human colony was hopelessly outmatched by the Covenant fleet. Each and every UNSC ship that attempted to counterattack was instantly vaporized in the air. Harvest was a peaceful colony of around 3 million humans, almost all of which died by the end of the assault. The Covenant began a campaign of glassing the planet from orbit. You see, glassing isn't just destruction, it's annihilation delivered from orbit with terrifying precision. With a hum, the Covenant plasma weapons ignite. Superheated energy, hotter than the surface of a star, rains down from above. Entire cities vanish within seconds. Oceans boil as the soil turns into molten slag. Forests will turn into ash before the flames even reach their branches. The process isn't fast, but it's deliberate and measured. The Covenant aren't just trying to beat humanity. They're trying to erase every sign of the insult upon their gods. They didn't glass Harvest in its entirety, but they destroyed the human presence on the planet and erased all traces of it. On the distant world of Reach, John 117 was unaware of the cosmic shift that was currently unfolding and redefining his purpose and legacy. At just 14 years old, he was still in training under Dr. Catherine Halsey's classified Spartan-II program. As we discussed in last week's video, the Spartan-II candidates had been abducted at the age of 6 and replaced with flash clones. For a full breakdown of the horrifying origins of the Spartan-II program, check out our last video linked down below. By late 2525, the scope of the alien threat had become clear. After the destruction of Harvest and several other outer colonies, the Office of Naval Intelligence recognized that the rebel insurrection was no longer humanity's greatest threat. In a classified briefing, the young Spartans learned of their new mission. Dr. Halsey and Lieutenant Junior Grade Jacob Keyes presented stark evidence of the technologically superior alien collective known as the Covenant. The Spartans watched footage of colonial massacres and glassed planets, entire worlds reduced to molten slag by Covenant plasma bombardments. For John, this revelation came with profound clarity. His purpose had shifted from preserving humanity's political unity to ensuring its very existence. The weight of this responsibility settled on his 14-year-old shoulders, not just as a soldier in humanity's army, but potentially the difference between survival and extinction. On November 27, 2525, shortly after being informed of the Covenant threat, John and his fellow Spartans were deployed on their first mission against the alien enemy at the Chi-Seti 4 colony. Their mission was to board a Covenant vessel and secure intelligence on the enemy and plant a bomb to destroy the ship. But what began as a reconnaissance operation became baptism by fire and resulted in the first Spartan casualty of the war. During the mission, John led Blue Team, including his closest friends Samuel 034 and Kelly 087, to infiltrate the Covenant vessel. Using thruster packs, they crossed the vacuum of space and breached the ship's hull. Inside, they encountered massive reptilian warriors of the Covenant for the first time. Later, they would learn the name of these soldiers as Sanghili, which would be translated to elites. The mission was successful, but at a devastating cost. Samuel 034's suit was breached by plasma fire. Despite the unbelievable advances of Mjolnir armor, the Covenant weaponry was still able to cut through them if they weren't careful. This made escape impossible for Sam, with a breached suit. Unable to survive in the vacuum of space, with the ship set to be destroyed, Sam chose to remain behind to ensure the mission's completion and the survival of his comrades. Sam is gone, John reported after returning to the UNSC Commonwealth. His voice was steady, but those who knew him could detect the subtle change, the first crack in his emotional armor. Dr. Halsey noted this in her personal journal. John has experienced his first real loss today. He didn't speak of Sam's sacrifice, but I observed him standing alone in the armory for nearly an hour afterwards. I fear that this is just the first of many losses that he will have to endure. Yet from this tragedy, John extracted a crucial lesson that would guide him through the coming decades of war. The Covenant aren't invincible, he told his team. They can be killed, their ships can be destroyed, and we can win this. The years that followed saw John and Blue Team deployed across human space fighting desperate battles against an enemy with superior numbers and technology. Each and every mission tested the Spartans' capabilities and forged them into the elite fighting unit they were always meant to be. Between 2531 and 2552, John 117 led over 200 combat operations against the Covenant. Each year brought new challenges, new technologies, and new losses as humanity's colonies fell one by one. The Spartans became a symbol of resistance, their very existence a closely guarded secret used to bolster civilian morale. By 2535, John had been promoted to Master Chief Petty Officer, and the rumors of the demons in green armor had begun to spread through Covenant ranks. The Sangheli, the elite warrior class of the Covenant, had developed a particular respect for the Master Chief, referring to him specifically as the demon in battlefield communications. Through these years, Blue Team underwent many changes. As Spartans fell in combat, new members rotated in, only John remained a constant, adapting his tactics and leadership to each and every new challenge. He served with distinction alongside Spartans Fred 104, Kelly 087, and Linda 058, forming the core of what would become the most effective small unit in human military history. However, behind the armor, John was changing. Each victory came at a cost. Lost comrades, lost colonies, lost pieces of his own humanity. The military psychologist who occasionally evaluated the Spartans noted John's increasing emotional detachment, a necessary adaptation to the constant traumas of war. Dr. Halsey wrote in 2547, "John has become the perfect soldier that I always envisioned, perhaps too perfect. His humanity now exists only in brief moments, a hand extended to a fallen comrade, a rare moment of dry humor in the face of impossible odds. Sometimes I wonder what have become of this boy from Spartan-II in a world without the Covenant." By 2552, the war's tide had turned decisively against humanity. Despite the Spartans' efforts, Covenant technology superiority and overwhelming numbers had pushed human forces back to the inner colonies. Of the original 75 Spartan candidates, fewer than 30 remained in active combat. John 117 had survived longer than statistical probability suggested. That mysterious luck once again manifesting itself. Unknown to John, though, his most important mission was yet in front of him. In July 2552, the Covenant discovered Reach, humanity's military stronghold and the planet where John had spent his childhood training to become a Spartan, essentially the closest thing the Spartans had to a home. The ensuing battle would become one of the most devastating defeats in human history. Reach was the crown jewel of the UNSC military-industrial complex. As the Covenant fleet emerged from slipspace, John 117 was not in orbit with the defending UNSC fleet. Instead, he and the surviving Spartan-IIs had been recalled to Castle Base on Reach's surface to prepare for a classified mission codenamed Red Flag. It was there at Dr. Halsey's underground facility that John received significant upgrades to his Mjolnir armor, transitioning to the Mark V systems with enhanced shields based on reversed engineered Covenant technology. It was also here that he would meet the being who would become his most trusted ally. "Do you know what this is?" Dr. Halsey asked John, gesturing to the small data crystal that housed the artificial intelligence known as Cortana. "An AI, ma'am?" John replied. "Not just any AI. The most advanced smart AI we've ever created, and she's chosen you specifically." You see, Cortana was created from a flash-cloned copy of Dr. Halsey's own brain, had reviewed the files of all active Spartans before selecting John 117 as her ally. When asked why she'd chosen him, Cortana's answer was simple and echoed Dr. Halsey. "He has something the others don't. Luck." The neural interface between Spartan and AI was unprecedented, a synthesis of human intuition and artificial intelligence processing power. This partnership was meant to be the linchpin of Operation Red Flag, a desperate mission to capture a Covenant hierarch and force a negotiated peace. But as John completed his armor integration tests with Cortana, the situation above Reach was deteriorating rapidly. The fall of Reach was swift and devastating. Despite the valiant defense efforts by UNSC ships and the Spartans deployed across the planet's surface, Reach's orbital defenses were quickly overwhelmed. As John was preparing for Operation Red Flag, Noble Team was leading the defense of Reach. We'll dive more into the heroic efforts of Noble Team in another video, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a thing. As the Covenant ships began the systematic glassing of the planet, the original mission parameters for Red Flag became impossible. In the chaos of Reach's final hours, Dr. Halsey made a fateful decision after uncovering Forerunner ruins under Reach that provided mysterious coordinates. Cortana had uncovered ancient data of potentially galaxy-altering significance. This data, more than the now abandoned capture mission, needed to reach UNSC High Command. There are some conflicting reports about how Cortana and the Master Chief made it to the Pillar of Autumn, but according to the most recent reports, Noble 6 was given this final mission. Deliver Cortana safely to Captain Keyes. These were Dr. Halsey's final orders to Noble Team. The data she carries is more important than anything else, even more important than the survival of Reach. At this point, John was already on the Pillar of Autumn, forced to leave behind Spartans still fighting on the surface. For the first time in his career, he was retreating from a battlefield while his comrades remained behind. It was a necessary sacrifice, but one that would haunt him in the quiet moments to come. The UNSC Pillar of Autumn was under the command of Captain Jacob Keyes, one of the few ships to escape Reach's destruction, with Master Chief and Cortana aboard. The vessel made an emergency slipspace jump, but not towards Earth, but in what was believed to be a random direction to protect humanity's homeworld from discovery. This jump, however, was not truly random. Using the ancient data she discovered on Reach, Cortana guided the ship toward coordinates of immense significance, though neither she nor anyone on board fully understood what awaited them. As the Autumn traveled through slipspace, Cortana continued to analyze the mysterious Forerunner data. What she found was both fascinating and terrifying. References to a massive ring-shaped structure, a weapon of last resorts, and a long-vanished civilization that had once ruled over the galaxy. On September 19, 2552, the Pillar of Autumn emerged from slipspace near the gas giant threshold, and there, orbiting silently, was a structure unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. A massive ring, artificial yet ancient, spanning thousands of kilometers in diameter. As John emerged from cryostasis, he was still the same Spartan who had left Reach, a soldier molded by decades of war, loss, and sacrifice. But standing before this ancient construct, he was on the threshold of becoming something even more. Not just a warrior in humanity's army, but the linchpin upon which the fate of all sentient life would turn. They didn't have long to gaze upon the structure, as the ship suddenly shuddered as a Covenant energy weapon struck the hull. There was no time for wonder or speculation. The mission was clear. Protect Cortana and protect her data. If the Covenant got their hands on Cortana, the location of Earth, along with all of humanity's other secrets, would fall into the hands of the Covenant. As John moved through the Autumn's corridors toward the armory, the ship rocked with explosions. Captain Keyes' voice came over the intercom, ordering all hands to abandon the ship. The Pillar of Autumn was going down, and it was heading straight for the mysterious ring. In the confines of his escape pod, Master Chief secured himself for atmospheric entry. Through the small viewport, the impossible scale of the ring world filled his view. Whatever this halo was, whatever secrets it held, one thing was certain. The war that had defined John's existence for 27 years was about to enter a whole new phase, one that would test not just his combat skills, but his very understanding of the universe. As the pod hurtled towards the ring's surface, John checked his assault rifle one final time. Whoever had built this structure, whatever its purpose might be, he would do what he'd always done. Adapt, survive, and complete the mission. The fate of humanity now rested with a single Spartan descending towards an ancient mystery that would soon be known throughout the galaxy simply as Halo. If you've made it this far, thank you for coming along on our journey to document John's Odyssey and the lore behind the Halo universe. We publish new lore videos like this weekly, so be sure to subscribe with those notification bells on. And let us know what other moments or questions from the Halo universe you'd like us to dive into next.